Angelica encounters a spider on the kitchen counter next to where she wants to get the cookies from. She calls up for her Uncle Stu, startling him and prompting him to come over to the kitchen to see what the problem was. In the process, he drops his bowl of popcorn on the floor. He proceeds to trap the spider in a glass bowl, as Angelica comments on the spider as being scary before taking the cookies off the counter. Meanwhile, Tommy eats the remnants of Stu's popcorn off the floor. However, he eats it so quickly he just ends up choking on some of it until he takes a drink from his bottle. Just as he comments that he doesn't know what his father was eating, silly hiccups likely caused from him drinking too fast, causing the other baby's castle of blocks to topple over. Phil asks Tommy what he said due to him hiccuping before finishing a sentence. Phil thinks Tommy said it was ketchup, leading the twins to argue about it, until Tommy tells him to stop and listen for what keeps coming out of his mouth, not knowing what hiccups are. Phil and Lil then look inside Tommy's mouth and try to find it as Tommy hiccups again, startling Phil and Lil and Chucky as they fall onto the floor. Chucky believes something is inside of Tommy due to the hiccups, as Lil claims it barked them leading Phil to ask Tommy if he ate a puppy, but Tommy explains he's only eating Stu's popcorn, as he demonstrates before hiccuping again, as Chucky, Phil, and Lil run away and hide. Lil believes Tommy is going to pop like a balloon from the hiccups, while Phil thinks he's going to blow like a volcano. Chucky quickly denies this and tells Phil and Lil not to talk that way as it will scare Tommy and he's not going to blow, but changes his mind when Tommy's hiccups go away. Chucky and the twins quickly run away and hide, and by now, Angelica, having heard them shouting, comes over to find out what they're yelling about. Phil explains they're trying not to get bits off of Tommy on when he pops, just as Tommy's hiccups again while drinking from his bottle, in turn causing the milk to spray out of his nose and onto his shirt. Angelica then tells Tommy isn't going to pop. He just has the hiccups, mispronouncing them as hip-ups. Tommy then asks if there's any way to get rid of them, which Angelica says everyone knows the best way to do is to scare them out. Tommy asks Angelica to scare him, which she's surprised to hear him say. Poor Chucky tells him not to let her do it, as he'll spend the rest of his life being scary forever. Tommy doesn't care about that, and he doesn't want to grow up and be stuck hiccuping forever. Angelica decides to give it a shot, but Phil points out that she can't scare Tommy that easily, as he's too brave for that. Angelica sees this as a challenge and decides to give it a go anyway. Chucky's afraid for Tommy, while Phil and Lil decide to help Angelica in effort scaring Tommy, which Lil wants to shout, "Boo!" Chucky is still afraid for Tommy, as he doesn't like the idea of him wanting to be scared. But Tommy is set on having it done if he means getting her his hiccups, and she decides to seek scary stuff to try and help him get even more scared when Angelica tries to scare him, which Chucky reluctantly joins in. They both walk into the kitchen, where Tommy tries to open the kitchen sink cabinet doors as he's trying to find the monster that lives underneath the sink and eats their leftovers, referring to the sink garbage disposal. Chucky is scared of it, but goes to help Tommy anyway. Of course, they can't open the doors due to them being locked on the inside. Then Angelica tries her first attempt to scare Tommy, when she, Phil, and Lil are wearing Halloween masks. Angelica, a witch, Lil, a werewolf, and Phil, a Frankenstein monster. Chucky is of course scared by it, but Tommy is hardly scared of them, unaware that was their attempt to scare them, much to Angelica's frustration. Angelica then decides her next plan to scare Tommy is by introducing him to the Boogeyman. She then goes to set up the trick as Lil asks the Booger Man will say boo, which Angelica says it won't. Chucky wonders where they might find the Boogeyman. Tommy is unsure but decides to find him anyway so he can be cured of his hiccups. Tommy and Chucky go find him, as Tommy worries they'll find him in the basement or underneath the couch. Chucky instead says looking for him is not a good idea, only for him and Tommy to be shoved in the coat closet by Phil and Lil, who shut the door behind them. In the closet, Angelica pulls her Boogeyman trick, mainly wearing a button-up shirt that covers her head to make her look headless, and tells the two to help her find his head. Tommy questions if she hasn't got a head. How is he even talking? Angelica then tells him to start feeling around for it, claiming it's all mushy brains and has two big eyeballs sticking out. She then finds it as she pulls a sheet off a bowl with the head in it. She then grabs Chucky and Tommy's hands to make them feel the brain, as Chucky is scared of his wits. Outside the closet, Phil and Lil hear the screaming. Phil believes Chucky's the only one who's scared, as Phil then opens the door to check inside. As the light shines in on the three inside, it's shown the Boogeyman's brain is really a bowl of spaghetti and meatballs. Tommy scolds Angelica, saying she's supposed to scare him, not feed him. Angelica's annoyed and her plans aren't working, while Lil claims she should have shouted, "Boo!" Angelica finally decides to build a super duper scare machine, a last ditch of effort to scare Tommy. She sets off to build it, not before knowingly tell Lil the machine is not going to say boo. Tommy's now upset that he can't be easily scared like Chucky was, but she asks Chucky to show him how to be scared. Chucky first tries to show Tommy how to scream scared. His attempts sound more like he's badly yodeling. Chucky then showcases how to cover his eyes and shiver while moaning, but Tommy's attempts still sound like really bad yodeling. Chucky's third attempt consists of being chased by a monster and then running to hide underneath the table, with Phil and Lowell pretending to be the monster. Chucky runs underneath the table first, but when Tommy tries, he's fairly close to sounding scared and walks rather than runs. Then when he hides under the table, he finds graham crackers and eats it, much to Chucky's annoyance. Meanwhile, Angelica is constructing her scare machine, using various things from all around the house, some of them being an owl statue from Grandpa's room, a cackling jack-o'-lantern pumpkin from a Halloween decoration box, various other things. Tommy's next step to showing Tommy how to be scared is by him making a scared face in the mirror, but Tommy's attempts are still poor. Finally, Angelica lures Tommy to scare her scare machine, which she has set up in the garage, using a bottle of milk on a roller skate tied to a rope. The others following, leading Tommy to a place right where she drew an X. She then turns the lights on and pulls a rope to activate her scare machine. However, the scare machine falls to pieces on top of a screaming Angelica. Phil and Lil tell her the scare machine worked as it scared Angelica herself. Angelica shakes this off in denial before telling them to leave her alone. Tommy and Chucky find out to their delight that Tommy's hiccups are gone. Tommy, being afraid that Angelica got hurt from all this stuff falling onto her, cured him of his hiccups. He thanks her for this. As the babies leave, Angelica growls in frustration, realizes that now she has the hiccups. During a stroll through the neighborhood, the babies notice that all the leaves on the trees have changed colors. Since Chucky has recently recovered from a cold, they think the trees have taken ill and set off to cure them. Chucky tries putting maple syrup on a tree since it's specifically a maple tree. Next day, Chucky starts crying when he sees the leaves have fallen to the ground. Meanwhile, Stu creates a labor-saving device to sweep up all the leaves in the yard. When Dee Dee suggests the leaves should wait until after Stu takes the babies to the park, he says he needs to get the leaves up right as they fall, or else he'll fall tragically behind the quality of his leaf removal. However, every time he uses his device, the babies release the leaves again inside the resulting package. Eventually, Stu gives up on the device and decides he will take the babies to the park. On their way there, the babies see that all the trees have leaves of different colors, so they come to realize that trees aren't sick after all. Also realize that playing in the autumn leaves is so much fun.